Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. It's Heated here, about to drop some more fire content on all you guys today. In today's video, we go over whether or not you should buy the Modern Warfare 3 game on release on November 10th. Based on my playing of the beta, these are my pros and cons and what you should watch out for when thinking about purchasing the Modern Warfare 3 full release coming in early November. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome in. This is my review of the Modern Warfare 3 beta. We've got a long list of pros and cons to go into today, but I'm going to start out and just say overall, this beta was a walking W. This thing was way better than the Modern Warfare 2 beta, way better than the Modern Warfare 19 beta, way better than the Vanguard beta. Of all the modern Call of Duty betas that we have had, I would probably argue that this is up there as the best, and if not, a close second best to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This beta hit everything that needed to be hit. It really felt like basically what Modern Warfare 2 was supposed to be, and more. But we're going to just go ahead and go right down the pros and cons list. So first, we're going to start with all the pros to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 beta, and we're going to start off by saying the obvious. The movement in the beta was phenomenal. I can't get over the slide canceling, the dolphin diving, being able to reposition on enemies. Didn't really do that there, but the ability to reposition on people so incredibly quickly, and then the gear allowing for you to ADS while you dive when you hit a certain level in the beta was very, very nice, making slide canceling an even more effective strategy, or just letting your slide go all the way through. So the movement in this game, being able to still bunny hop, not bunny hop as much as you can in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 1 and all that, but the bunny hopping was still there to the point where it could turn the tide of a battle. But unfortunately, there was some movement in Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2 that was not brought over, and that was going from a prone drop shot into, if you press double X or double A, you can go immediately into a jump shot. That was obviously taken away from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 beta purposefully, as the devs saw that as being a little too cheesy and they didn't want to include that in. But overall, the movement was fantastic. The next best thing that we're going to get into is the remastered maps. The remastered maps overall played very well. I have nothing but positive things to say about how they remastered the maps. The map layouts were all basically the same as they were when we were kids playing this thing. So overall, fantastic. I mean, you're watching Rust right now. Rust was a very fun one to play on. High Rise, again, hitting everybody in the fields with all the jump spots, all the crane spots, and everyone trying to do those 360 no-scopes for the highlight reels during the beta. High Rise brought back all that nostalgia, and then, of course, you got the color-filled favela running around in Rio, Brazil, trying to get those pics in those close quarters. I mean, and then you got Skid Row, of course, in New York. Like, a lot of great remastered maps, a lot of classics, a lot of cult classics that they brought back and remastered for the modern genre of gaming, for FPS, and for all of these guys that are wanting to play this game alongside me and you. So 2 remastered maps, very good. The next thing that I think kind of went underappreciated, and this is kind of nuanced, but like every gun felt pretty good. Like every gun felt smooth, felt pretty good to use. I mean, even some guns didn't hit harder than others, but overall, the gunplay was fantastic. It felt good. It was smooth. The shots registered overall. You were able to move well with some and versus not with others based on the class that they were in. It didn't feel like it was a one-size-fits-all kind of a thing. Every gun felt different, but every gun felt good. Even if the TTK being higher hurt the gun more than helped it. Next, the aftermarket conversion kits, which kind of played into the guns that are feeling kind of fun. So the conversion kits of note were on the Regge and the LMG PKM. And on the Regge, it made it into a full auto. You're able to attach up to a 50-round magazine onto the Regge. Here, you're not seeing the aftermarket on the Regge, purely just the handgun instead of the conversion kit making it into an SMG. It's a brilliant idea. It's a simple idea, and it takes one attachment spot on the weapon. So overall, a very, very, very good addition to the game as far as the Regge goes. For the PKM, it made the fire rate faster and basically made the PKM more mobile, and you could strafe a lot faster. So I know I use the PKM with the aftermarket more on mouse and keyboard than I did on controller, and it was easy to control, and it was very mobile, and it allowed me to reposition and take out multiple combatants with ease. So the aftermarket parts on the PKM, making it more of an AR rather than an LMG, was very satisfying. And then, of course, the aftermarket kit that we used for the Regge, turning it into a submachine gun rather than a handgun, made it a lot more viable, allowed you to have more perks instead of running that engineer vest or whichever vest gave you the overkill perks. So it added a lot more versatility into the beta, and whether what your preferences were for rocking 2 primary weapons or a secondary that could basically become a primary. So overall, the aftermarket kits were a great idea. They're simple and they worked. So another thing that COD's pioneering that is actually, hitting the nail on the head and actually working. The next one, server stability, number 5, server stability. Very hard pressed to find a lobby where I was lagging. Most lobbies are about as smooth as you're seeing on the gameplay here. Honestly, it felt very good. My latency up the top left, you can see, is around 50. And I was typically hitting between 20 and 50, 20 to 60, because I was playing on central lobby. So the latency was good because I was near the servers. All my times were good. No lag or packet loss bursts or packet bursts within the lobbies. If it happened, it was very rare and only lasted a few moments. But this was more on the... I did most of my playing on multiplayer or like... well, it's all multiplayer, but I did most of my playing on Mosh Pit or... Rust 24/7 or High Rise 24/7. I didn't do much ground war. So for those ground war players out there, let me know if the servers are a little bit more unstable there. But based on my own experience playing on the smaller maps, servers were good. Servers were very good. The next thing, I really saw a lack of cheaters. There were some sus moments that I found while playing the beta, the PC and Xbox beta this last weekend. But I can honestly tell you, like, I did not see hardly any blatant cheaters. Which is a huge W. I was afraid with the beta that they were just going to kind of be allowed in, and they obviously took that to heart. Whatever Ricochet is, if it's a marketing ploy, if it's an actual kernel level anti-cheat, whatever it's doing, it worked here. It worked during the beta. Like, the amount of cheaters I saw was bad. If I lost a fight, it was because I got absolutely destroyed by that guy like you saw right there. So it was purely a skill issue if I lost to somebody or they knew the map better than I did. Something like that. So overall, the lack of cheaters, huge W, especially for casuals. Next, the lack of tuning on the weapons, huge W. I'm not a fan of tuning. I think it is a callback to the 10 attachment system in Vanguard. It always has been. It just adds 5 more things that are just truly unnecessary. It's too complicated. It's an antithesis to what they're trying to get with the message with the aftermarket parts. The aftermarket parts are simple and they're good, and they pioneer different things within FPS gaming. And the tuning just doesn't do it. The tuning is too complicated. It's too cumbersome. It takes too long of a time to really get set up. Not a huge fan of the tuning. The fact that it wasn't in the beta, fantastic. Made the game simple, made it more fluid, made guns easier to equip and unequip. Everything about it being gone, huge W. I hope they take that to heart moving forward. The matchmaking was also fluid. Didn't have any matchmaking issues. I didn't have to like restart the game to invite my friends. I didn't have to invite them to a group or a squad and then invite them through that and made group or squad into my party. Everything was fluid. Everything was smooth. I just invited them and they were in. I know betas in the past like Modern Warfare 19 and Modern Warfare 2 a bit. That was basically impossible to do. Modern Warfare 19 you had to restart after a game to invite, and then in Modern Warfare 2 you had to invite people to a squad or a specific like group channel and then invite them from there in order for them to join your party. So I'm glad they fixed those matchmaking issues early in the Modern Warfare 3 beta. So I'm looking forward to seeing what more they can do with that moving forward, making it even more fluid. The UI was definitely also improved. Moving on, the UI in Modern Warfare 2 Warzone 2 was atrocious. It was very hard to navigate, very hard to find your modes. But here, pretty easy. Pretty easy to find the modes. Everything was down at the bottom for you with whatever mode you wanted to play. You didn't have to go into every alternate menu to find just one mode. It was all there at the bottom for you, made it very easy. I hope they continue that moving forward. The higher TTK, I know this is going to be a hot one, but I'm a huge fan of it. It separates the men from the boys. If you're a player who is not aiming for center mass or upper body or head in your engagements, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You're going to be able to allow someone to turn on you. So right there, I hit that guy in the extremity, and I tried to get up and hit him center mass, but by that time it was too late. The TTK already had me beat. And so then right there at range with the striker, I hit him center mass, done, easy. So the TTK being higher is a skill gap issue. It is a skill issue. If you're having trouble getting kills, it might be an aim assist problem. I ran the beta on Black Ops aim assist and found that it to be a lot more sticky than the default aim assist. It was pretty apparent that the default aim assist from Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3 was definitely nerfed. Black Ops aim assist all the way is what my suggestion would be for you guys moving forward if you're having trouble hitting people center mass or in the head. So the higher TTK, good. Separates the men from the boys. You're forced to hit your shots on mouse and key and on controller. Next, overall game was quite smooth. We touched on this earlier. Everything felt smooth, hardly lagging, didn't feel clunky. The movement really sped up the game to the pace that I think it was meant for on this engine. Overall W. I'm glad that we're moving on from the clunk that is Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. Next, guns I think were overall balanced. You could basically play any style you want. If you wanted to play with an LMG, you could run the PKM and do damage. If you wanted to run pistols, you could throw an aftermarket on the Regge or run dual-wield stingers and do pretty well. If you wanted to run an SMG and go crazy, you got the Striker or the CX-9, you could do that. If you wanted to be more of like a Sentinel player and sit with an AR, MCW was pretty good with that. And then if you wanted to really get crazy and use a battle rifle for crazy damage but a little bit more recoil, the Bass B as in Bravo was also very good for that as well. And then if you wanted to go around and quickscope, you could do that too. So overall, guns were pretty balanced across the board with the TTK already being higher. That is a pro to higher TTK as well, so it was nice to see it. So good work on Sledgehammer for that. And then another thing about Sledgehammer, this whole weekend and the weekend before with the PlayStation Beta, is they heard people's complaints about a lot of things, whether it be battle rage or UI or footsteps and all that kind of stuff, and they made changes. They honestly made changes. They may not be where we want them to be, but they heard the community and they took steps during the beta. So huge shout out to Sledgehammer Games. You guys are already listing more than Infinity Ward has in the past. Keep up the good work. All right, now moving into the cons. So these are very nitpicky things, so bear with me. They are very nitpicky, so you guys can choose to disagree with them in the comments if you want. But these are the things I saw that made the beta not so great in certain aspects. So the first thing, the new gear system instead of perks could very well confuse those who are accustomed to a perk system. I had a lot of people that I played with that are like, you know, Heated, you have overkill, how do you have that? Or Heated, you're dead silent. Like, how are you getting dead silence all the time? And I would have to go into that, you know, that conversation and tell them, well, if you want overkill, you have to use this vest. If you want dead silence all the time, you have to, you know, get to this level and use covert sneakers. So like there were a lot of like, I think the gear system is cool, but there was already a lot of confusion right off the rip. I heard a rumor that the gear is basically going to be fettered to multiplayer and it won't be extended into Warzone. I honestly think that'd be a mistake because people need to learn it in order to get better at the game and equip the right things. I mean, streamers can help with that with their videos and, you know, help make the community better at the game as a whole. So I really hope they integrate that into Warzone. But if not, the CDL season is going to be already pretty interesting with all that stuff added on as well. So honestly, I think the gears are a W, but it is causing confusion, so that's the first L. Number 2, visibility issues with friendly or allied nameplates. Too often, I looked at someone walking, I mean, you can kind of already see it here with the green in Favela. You see my allies running around, and it's already kind of hard to see their nameplates, especially if you're in the zone, if you're in the moment, like I am being AFK. You know, it's hard to see them. It's hard to find them. Too often, I found myself shooting at a teammate instead of shooting at an enemy. So that visibility needs to be fixed, ideally at launch. Next, the audio confusion from allies coupled with the covert sneakers being used by the enemy was a huge no-no. Again, going into the shooting my allies too much, I would hear loud footsteps turn, and it's an ally. And then I would get killed by someone on the enemy team who's using covert sneakers, so I can't hear them at all. So the fact that I'm hearing allies louder than enemies a majority of the time, that's an issue that needs to be that it needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. Yeah. So next one, the difference between meta and non-meta guns was quite large. So if you were using the PKM versus the Holger, if you're an LMG guy, or the G36 as some other hardcore old COD vets like me would like to call it, the Holger versus the PKM, it was a pretty big difference. Or if you were using the Striker versus the AMR9 or the CX9, you can notice a difference right off the bat, or the MCW versus the other ARs, you could notice a difference immediately, or the Bass B versus the other battle rifles and tac rifles. Like, the differences were stark. You could tell that Sledge wanted some guns to be widely used and then some guns not. And the TTK really exacerbated the difference between those times to kill with the weapon that you were using. So that's something that needs to be noted. They might need to bridge that gap a little bit, kind of more with what Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2 is right now. Try to bridge that gap a little bit, but we'll see what they go moving forward. But with the TTK being high, all the guns felt good to use, but there were definitely some guns that you just never used because they couldn't compete with, say, the Striker right there used by Majin, my boy. All right, the next one. Breacher drones. I like the damage done by the Breacher drones, and I like the lethal itself. I think the damage, that the output that they have, I think that there being a lethal is fine. What I don't agree with is the amount of time it takes to use it. It's way too short. I could whip it out and throw it faster than a grenade. Because of the power of the drones and how long they can stay on the battlefield, i.e. going through like a whole hallway instead of being on a timer like a frag or a semtex, the release time of the breacher drone needs to be longer. So if I'm pulling out the drone and then I'm activating it and throwing it, that time needs to take longer than a frag grenade or a semtex grenade because of the power and the length of the drone being on the battlefield. So that's my only gripe with the breacher drone. I think it's fine as is. I think it's great. I know in Warzone it'll probably only crack shields. It won't be a one-hit down like a bomb drone or something like that. So overall, a W thing. But the time on release or use of the lethal needs to be increased. Next. There were some hit registration issues. I played on both controller and mouse and key. There were some hit reg issues, especially with the hip fire, but on the Lockwood pump action shotgun, there were certain second or third pumps that would just not hit or not register onto the opponent. I hit him with a pump and it would be a hit marker, and then I would cock the pump again and then fire it, and then I'd be on center mass and then nothing would register. Granted, I used it more on mouse and key than on controller, so I'll admittedly that might be the issue, but I was definitely like aiming on the same spot or even more so than the first pump and was not getting the registration. So I think there's an issue with the Lockwood shotgun that may need to be addressed with the registration issues. And if not, the registration issues on mouse and key with hip fire seem to be a lot worse than on controller. So another issue there, another little gripe. I know you controller players out there are gonna be like, hey, they just switch to controller, man. You know, it's a legal aimbot, just use it. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. You know, like I should probably use it, but mouse and key is, you know, my precious. So it's like I can't, you know. I love me some mouse and keys. So for all you other mouse and keyers out there, you know, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. So next, spawns. This is probably my biggest gripe with the beta, the Modern Warfare 3 beta, are the spawns. I get like playing Rust, like spawns are gonna get a little confusing. Like I understand that, but the fact that I could spawn like right next to somebody or into gunfire or right behind an enemy is actually kind of crazy. It seems like the spawn system is eerily similar to what it was in Vanguard, and I know a lot of people criticize the spawns in Vanguard throughout the entire year of that game being out. So Sledge, take note, the spawns have not improved since Vanguard. They need to be more widely spread. I don't know if you need to make it like a single dot spawn system or a grouping spawn system like in Modern Warfare 2, however, or a zone spawn system. However way you do it, though, I just don't want to spawn into enemy gunfire, man. Like that's the biggest thing for me, man. Next, the optics have kind of a lack of not really originality, but this is gonna be my real world use. A lot of the optics that Sledge pulled over from Vanguard like would not even be viable IRL, and I just say that as someone who, you know, shoots guns on a fairly regular basis, who has guns, who owns guns. It doesn't really seem like the slate reflector or even the Niter model, like those aren't really too viable. And so I don't know. I don't know if bringing those over from Vanguard was the best thing. I love using them, don't get me wrong. So from a video game perspective, I love them. But as far as like if you're trying to make things like, if you're trying to appease the realistic crowd, that's not the way to do it. So I don't know if it's like a pro and a con that it's in there, but you know, that's just something I noticed. That's in there. Next, SBMM is an issue. I understand the need for SBMM for those that are not good at the game. Like they have a below a 0.8 KD on average. They're not good. They need the skill-based matchmaking algorithm to basically try to get them up to that 1 KD. And I understand that that's around for them. I get that. But for players who are above 1 KD, it's either, you know, we don't even get those lobbies anymore. If you're in an outlier KD system, so if you have like a 2 KD or higher, you're going to be put into a lobby with people who have a 2 KD or higher. So that could range from a 2 KD, a 4 KD, or 5 KD, because there's not as many players in that window as there are with people who are around a 1 KD or less. So naturally those lobbies are a lot more populated and they're a lot less sweaty. But if you're a 2 KD or higher player, you're going to be playing in some sweaty lobbies, just because there's not as many people in your skill bracket. And that is the con of skill-based matchmaking, is it kind of takes some fun away from the game. And even for those players who are not at 1 KD, they're still being put with players who are above their skill level, and that can hurt their ability to have fun in the game as well. So that's like my last little gripe. That's your typical annual, you know, perennial Call of Duty gripe, if you will, is skill-based matchmaking. Like, oh, SBMM's horrible. Like, I see it has its place. I understand it. Like, can we just like nerf it a little bit? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I consider myself a good player. A lot of people I play with are above average players, like this guy, Jared FPS, on occasion. You know, he's occasionally above average, but you know, like, come on, like, help a brother out. Like, we need to relax it. But anyway, overall, that's the end of my pros and cons for Modern Warfare 3 Beta, guys. I give this game, this beta so far, I give it a good 7 out of 10. I wouldn't put it in the 8 or 9 out of 10 category. I give it a good C+, maybe a little B- on a good day. But there are some issues that are just like glaring that need to, like, glaringly obvious that need to be changed, much like the SBMM, the spawns, and then the operator UI, footstep audio. That stuff definitely needs fixed. It definitely needs tuned. But again, those are like your small gripes that studios can take all year to fix. Like, not bashing them for taking the all year to fix. Like, I know it's like difficult stuff to fix. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a dev and know what's easy and what's not. I don't. But this is an issue that we have every year because it's a hard issue to fix. I understand that. And so, you know, I just hope that the devs take notice of it. They work on it. They make it a better experience for everybody to what time they want to do it. But overall, like, this was the first time I played a Call of Duty beta since I was a kid. I don't know if it's the maps or what, but I didn't get enough of the beta. I could have sat there, played the beta for hours, not playing for anything but fun, and I could have sat there and had fun the entire time and not gotten bored. I never got bored playing the beta. So overall, Sledge, a fantastic job. I'm really looking forward to full release, baby. I'm going to grind all these camos. I can't wait to check out zombies. Overall, you guys did great. Overall, you guys did great. A good solid 7 out of 10. A lot of room left to grow. I had fun. The only game that I'd even rate, like, even close to a 7 out of 10 per my standards, beta-wise, would have been Cold War. But outside of that, every other beta was like a 3 or a 4. Like, so 7 out of 10, fantastic. Loved it. Never got tired of playing it. And that's really what matters. I never got tired of playing it. So, a job well done to Sledge. You've reinvigorated Call of Duty. Do I dare say Call of Duty is back, ladies and gentlemen. It's back. It's back. I say you pre-order it. I don't know about the Vault Edition yet. I still have yet to pre-order the Vault. But I definitely have the Standard Edition pre-ordered. I would suggest you all do the same. This is different than previous Call of Duties. They're listening to the community. Is this where we should have been a year ago? Probably. But the fact that we're here now and we're not waiting 2-3 years for this is a W. So thanks to Sledge for listening. Thanks for all you guys for listening in. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do enjoy it. But otherwise, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Modern Warfare 3 Beta W. Go pre-order it. I love you guys. Bye.